And coming up in this episode.
I mean, don't just go to university to study. Also, look out for some of these organizations that can help you. Because aside going to the university to learn your course of study, there are also other skills that you need in life.
Yeah.
Not just the course which
itself,
you went to study.
And I think this is part of the reason why a lot of graduates end up being unemployed.
Exactly.
Simply because they don't have these extra skills that they don't necessarily get from
studying.
School.
From school. I remember when I went for when I got the admission and I went for my visa interview, you know, I remember the visa officer, because she went through my passport and she saw
the stamp of the
Polish. Oh, she said, "Oh, you've traveled to Europe before?" I said, "Yes, I've lived in Poland. I was in Poland for 1 year for my internship."
Yeah.
And you know, it convinced her because she looked. Oh, she said, "And you came back?" I remember she asked me that question.
Wow.
She said, "And you came back?" I'm like, "Of course, because my internship ended."
To set up 2 subsidiary companies. So the comparison came here. When setting up the company in Senegal, it took her like almost 2 years.
Of course.
But
because the bureaucracy
is crazy. And in the US, it only took her 20 minutes to go on the computer to set it up. So the bureaucracy in Africa, the way it's been set up, also broods that corruption. Now, for you to fasten things, you have to pay somebody.
You have to pay somebody.
Which is really just killing the economy, really.
Yes.
This is the real life experiences of immigrants in the diaspora. Welcome to the BO podcast. And I am your host, Becky Onyango. And today we have a very special guest who is going to share the experience living abroad. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the BO podcast. I'm your host, Becky Onyango, and thank you so much for joining us today. And we have a very special guest with us today, and this is Esther. And so thank you so much, Esther, for joining us.
You're welcome.
And she is going to take us through her experience of coming all the way to Germany as a student and transitioning into the professional life while juggling the motherhood lifestyle. So welcome.
Thank you, Becky.
So let's just get right into it. Tell us a little bit about your background, where you come from, and how your education background has been back at home.
I am from Nigeria. I'm Nigerian.
Yeah.
I'm from the east of Nigeria, but I was born and raised in Lagos. Okay. Lagos is one of the very popular
vibrant cities in Nigeria.
Yes. Yeah, I was born and raised in Lagos. Growing up in Nigeria, you know how every child wanted to be a doctor, a lawyer.
We all wanted to.
Exactly. I also had those dreams. Yeah. Growing up, I wanted to be a doctor. Okay. In as much as I was very vocal. So when I tell people I want to be a doctor, they are looking at me like, "Are you sure you know what you want to be?" Because I mean, you know, people expected that maybe I could be like in the arts class, maybe do something.
Because you're very creative.
Yes.
Okay.
But I felt, no, I have what it takes to be a doctor and everything. But you know, as you keep growing, the goal keeps changing. Yeah. By the time I was in my second year of the senior secondary school, I realized, first, I wasn't too good in chemistry. And then I realized that my passion for this thing, I realized, no, I don't think it's medicine that is the passion. Maybe it's computer science, or maybe it's something else.
But not chemistry or biology.
Yeah, chemistry was not it, because I kept struggling. Eventually I passed. I mean, when I sat for my WAEC, my senior school leaving certificate, of course I passed those subjects. But of course, chemistry again, I passed chemistry with the least pass. You know. But by the time I finished secondary school, I realized that no, I do not want to be a medical doctor. And then the dreams, changed. At first, I had interest because I was good in calculations. I was good in mathematics. I was good in physics. Then I said, okay, since I was good with calculations, okay, maybe I could do something, maybe not medicine. Okay, at some point I said I said, no, pharmacy is also in the medical line. I mean, I couldn't be bothered with all of these medical things, And then I said, okay, maybe computer science. I started out, as a computer scientist. I have a diploma in computer science.
Nice.
Yeah, but by the time I was finishing my diploma, because you know how in Africa, like you know how in Nigeria where you have some very difficult, professors in some departments where they make things really difficult and all. Yeah. I knew how I struggled to finish like my diploma degree in computer science. So I said, no, I don't think I want to continue like to have like a proper degree in computer science. Maybe I could do something else. Okay, and then that was where the thought of studying economics came from. I've always been good with economics, like in in secondary school. So it was, and economics too. I mean, I've always had like I've had affirmation for numbers. I prefer to do calculations rather than, read a lot, And the fact that economics too was another course too that had like a lot of calculation and all, it was easy for me to just switch. So I made the switch. So I switched from being like a pure science student to being a social science student. Okay. And it was good because of my background as a science student, I did very well like as an economics. So I read economics in eventually in my degree level. I graduated and worked for a while and before I came to Germany to do my master's.
So during that time when you're pursuing your undergraduate in economics, were you involved in any activities that, probably helped you after graduation to pursue other opportunities?
Yeah, a lot. As an undergraduate, I was involved with in a lot of things, mostly around leadership and management. Okay. In my first year in the university, I joined an organization called ISEC. I don't know if I'm sure a lot of maybe you might have heard about ISEC.
Yeah, I know about ISEC.
Yeah, so ISEC is an international organization that gives young people the opportunities to grow their leadership skills. It gives you an opportunity to have a work experience while you're still studying. Yeah, because ISEC is a very practical organization. As an ISECer, you would have the opportunity you could be a leader. You will have like a teammate. You have like somebody that is under you, somebody that you're leading.
And what kind of activities were members of ISEC engaged in when you were in school?
We basically our activities were centered around leadership. Okay. Now, what we used to have like symposiums. We usually have weekly meetings where every week we come and we learn about something. Okay. So we can come today and say, okay, today we want to learn about public speaking. We invite people who are good in these things and they come and train us. We were running ISEC like a practical organization where you have like a president, you have like someone in charge of finance, you have someone in charge of sales. It was like running an organization, but you all are all students.
Nice.
So, I mean, most of the skills I learned, or most of the things I know, I learned in ISEC. I learned how to write a proper proposal from start to finish in ISEC. In fact, it was in ISEC that I started mastering I started learning my Excel skills. Oh, wow. I mean, I was studying, but ISEC gave me the opportunity to. I was exposed to a lot of things. Yeah. I would go for meetings. I would have presentations. I was involved in sales, for example. Yeah. So maybe we'll have a program coming up, and we need sponsors, and then we come up with draft proposals as students, and we take it to like maybe organizations and tell them, oh, come collaborate with us. This is what you get from working with us or for collaborating with us. So most of the skills I had, like practical working experience skills, I learned while working with ISEC.
Yeah. So aside from those technical skills, also there are a lot of soft skills that you got to learn.
Exactly.
Presentation skills, communication
skills, good. And that's why, and also aside ISEC, I remember in my school days, there were also other organizations that like JCI and all of that. So just like I was talking to you before now, I mean, I think it's really something good for young people in Africa to begin to, I mean, don't just go to university to study. Also look out for some of these organizations that can help you. Because aside going to the university to learn your course of study, there are also other skills that you need in life. Yeah. Not just the course which
itself,
you went to study.
And I think this is part of the reason why a lot of graduates end up being unemployed.
Exactly.
Simply because they don't have these extra skills that they don't necessarily get from
studying.
School.
From school.
Okay, so after graduating and you have all these skills that you've gained from ISEC, so now you transition into the job market in Nigeria. How was that for you, and which company did you first start working for?
Okay, so as a student, after I graduated, the first company I worked for full-time was ISEC.
Okay.
So I moved from ISEC as a student now to full-time as a professional.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I worked with ISEC for the first year of my life after school. I was in charge of business development and alumni relations. So I was managing I was the person managing like the alumni relations with the students, and also I was also in charge of business development activities. And also it was also a very challenging and eye-opening experience. But then it was also easy for me because I mean I've been with these organizations coming. I had the experience and all of that. But then one thing ISEC also did for me was it made me a global citizen. In fact, that's what ISEC does for everyone. Yeah. It makes you a global citizen. So I started traveling out of Nigeria in my third year of studies, like of my undergraduate. So of course I started traveling, you know when you move from Lagos, Nigeria to Cotonou. Yeah. Of course you're abroad. Yeah. Because Cotonou is in Benin Republic.
Yes.
So
you've left the borders of your country.
Of your country.
You've left the small bubble that you know.
Exactly. Yeah. So I started traveling in my third year in school because I was taking up leadership positions in school, and then I was going for conferences. In ISEC, we have a lot of conferences, and these conferences are like also some of the learning platforms that we have, So I mean, most of my travel were basically ISEC,
related.
So to Berlin, to Benin Republic, to Togo, to Cote d'Ivoire, to Burkina Faso, to Kenya.
Wow.
And then
you came all the way to East Africa. Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. And then to India, where I attended one of our biggest.
Also, you went to India. Yeah. Now out of the continent.
Out of the continent, yes.
So guys, if you are in a public university in any African country, take advantage of the opportunities that come with ISEC, because also in our university we used to have ISEC as well, and I think ISEC is in very many universities.
It's in very many universities in Africa. Yeah. Because I mean ISEC is currently in over 138 countries. So and ISEC is mostly in public universities. Yeah. Mostly, although in Nigeria recently we are expanding into the private schools, but of course we are more in the public schools. Yeah. So after that 1 year experience, I got an internship via ISEC to go work with ISEC in Poland.
Wow. Yeah. So you went to Poland now?
Yes.
Courtesy of ISEC.
Courtesy of ISEC.
Nice.
I traveled to Poland. I was in Poland between 2015 and 2016 and 2017. Yeah. That was when I was in Poland. My internship was actually language-based. I was in Poland to teach English. Yeah, because Poland is a country where Polish people are really hungry to learn English, and English is not their native language. So I saw the opportunity, and because I love to work with people. I love to talk. I saw it as an opportunity to also grow, meet people, and build my network. So I jumped at it and applied for the opportunity, and I got it. So that was where my journey to Europe started.
But how was generally your experience in Poland?
It was interesting because I met really interesting people. I lived because I lived in the students area, so it was interesting. Yeah, but then of course, every experience has like the good and the bad side. Sometimes you are maybe segregated upon, or maybe things that happen.
So generally not still open-minded to foreigners.
Yeah, So I mean, it was generally, I would say, it was an interesting experience. That experience lasted for 1 year.
Okay.
And after that, I went back to Nigeria. Okay. Yes, I went back.
And you decided not to stay? You dropped everything, and after the internship
of
finished?
Course, there was that thought of staying. Yeah. But then, if I have to stay, then I have to stay legally. Yeah. So I must look for ways that I could stay legally, maybe getting a job or something. Of course, I did try to get like a proper job, but I didn't get it, so I had to go back.
That's a really brave decision, because most of the time, for a lot of us Africans who get the opportunity to leave the country, whatever cause that takes you to that country, whenever, if let's say it comes to an end, if it's a student opportunity or a job opportunity, most people decide to stay, whether it's legally or illegally. And most of the time it will end up being illegally if you don't get the right means. So it's a big decision to decide to go back. So kudos to you for making that tough choice.
I mean, it's about believing in yourself. For me at that point, I knew that I would not, apart from believing in myself, it's also about my culture, my stance. Like, because I mean, I would not do anything illegally. And for crying out loud, I was young. I knew that whatever it is, I have what it takes. If I got this opportunity, I could get another opportunity. So there is no point, you know, going the illegal route and then being under unnecessary pressure. You know. So I left and I went back to Nigeria. And after I went back to Nigeria, I got my first job was with the bank. Because of course I read economics, so I had like I qualified to work in a bank.
And you had all the experience.
You know, my first job was with a bank. I worked in a bank for about 6 months, and then I quit because, you know, how the bank can. It was too. I mean, it was too tight. It was too like I didn't have opportunity to do other things, and
so no growth opportunities in terms of your career.
Exactly, I didn't have opportunity to do other things, and then, of course, the salary was not good. Like you spend, you know how I don't know how it is in Kenya, but in Nigeria, banking job is very, very stressful. You leave your house very early in the morning to be able to beat the traffic, and then you come back home also very late, and then you have little sleep, and the next morning you're out again.
I totally understand. I used to work in an insurance company while I was in Kenya, but this was back then when I was still a student. And I can imagine, because in Nairobi there's also a lot of traffic. You wake up so early to be there on time, like by 7, 8, and you know you're not even seeing the prospects of your career growing unless,
you know,
unless you find your way to the management level. But
and it's not easy.
It's not so
you know.
easy.
So when I look at the what I was earning compared to the time I was spending,
it was not worth it.
It was not professional. So I left. Now I got another job in an insurance company. Now my job with the insurance company was a bit flexible because I was in the sales department. So most times my work was not within the 4 walls of the office. So my job mostly was outside because I was in charge of getting like partnerships for the company. You know, I was in charge of getting clients to buy our insurance policies and all of that. So these clients are not in the office, they are out there. So most times, I mean, that gave me opportunity to also do other things, you know. So my job was flexible. You're not, the reason why I took the job was because the job, the way it's structured, it will give me opportunity to also
explore other things.
Other things.
But at the same time, you're still having
having a stable income, So I was there. I worked at that job for another.
So that's a good trick, guys. If you want your career to grow and you're not seeing the prospects, look for a flexible job on the side as you work on your career goals.
Exactly.
Nice.
You know, so I was on that job for another 1 year or thereabout before I left to Germany now to go continue my studies for my master's.
Nice. So during that time is when now you are proactively searching for opportunities in Germany, or did you use an agent, or how did you come across that piece of information to come to Germany? Well,
the truth is, because I know how to use Google. I know how to use a computer, you know. And that was when I told you I left my bank job because it didn't give me time. Because I knew that I had other goals in life. I want to study. I want to travel abroad again because having lived in abroad, you always want to
go back.
You know. And I know that job was too tight. I didn't have time to do any other thing. So my other job now was okay for me. I had time now. I mean, I applied. Although my first choice to study, to be honest, wasn't Germany. I thought of maybe the UK, the US, because of course those countries are English-speaking countries.
Yeah, so the first option is always English-speaking.
I mean,
countries,
I feel like for we, especially, I mean, I now I'm seeing it from a broader perspective.
Yeah.
But in Nigeria, most Nigerians, when we want to go abroad for study, nobody really remembers Germany. Like, it's very few people.
It's not only in Nigeria, also in Kenya.
Yeah,
nobody considers Germany.
Nobody really remembers Germany.
People only look at US, UK, Canada,
exactly.
Australia.
Yeah, exactly. So those were the places I was looking at too. But I also had like constraint because, of course, to study in those countries too were more expensive and all of that. And because I was, of course, working and sponsoring myself, so I had to, look out for a better or cheaper option. Then a friend, I came across a friend, I met a friend of mine who told me that, oh, Esther, I'm now in Germany, I'm studying here. I'm like, oh, really? You're doing your master's? And then he told me it's in English. Then I told him, oh, I didn't even know. I thought, oh, maybe in Germany, all courses are studied. He said, no, there are some courses that, especially for master's program, that you can study in English. That was what tickled my interest.
Okay.
And then I told him, oh, what school are you in? What city are you in? He said, oh, he's in Berlin. Berlin is the capital. I told him, just say no more. I have what I needed. So I just asked him for the name of the school where he was in. And then he sent it to me. And that was where the journey started.
Wow.
Every night, I had a modem. I had a laptop. So I would recharge my modem. My modem, there was this plan I was on. You get a certain amount of data to use during the daytime, and you had like another amount of data to use during the night time. I remember every night my mom would come out, because my mom is a prayer warrior. She will come out to pray, and she'll tell me, you are still awake.
Yeah.
I'll tell her, mommy, just do your thing.
I remember the same thing.
I'm doing my thing.
Yeah.
Every night after work, I stay up late. I dedicate not less than 2-3 hours every night surfing the internet. Yeah. I started to look out for not just the school that my friend has sent to me. I started looking out for other schools in Germany that offer, because I read economics in my bachelor, for my bachelor degree. So for my master's, I wanted to do something related to what I did also in my bachelor's. I came across, that was when I realized that, oh, there are a lot of schools in Germany that study, that offer courses in English, both masters and bachelors. And I even realized that, oh, in Germany, when you get admission in public universities, you can even study for free.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some courses that you can study for free, provided you, of course, you have to be able to raise money for your income, your upkeep for 1 year. Yeah. There is this block accounting. But when I saw that, I'm like, wow.
It looked too good to be true at that time.
Good to be true.
Yeah.
So I jumped at it.
Wow.
And I started the journey. I started applying to these schools. Of course, it was tedious, because you know how admissions are. First of all, that was another thing again, my ISEC skill came up again. Because you need to write very convincing motivation letters. So most times I had, when I need something, I remember, oh, I have this file somewhere that I've written a letter to somebody trying to convince them for I just go back to that file and I read that letter and I get those ideas. The first application I put in, I remember I started the journey in 2018. The first application I put in was to HTW Berlin. That year, HTW was the only university I applied to, and I got it was a very competitive admission, and I got admission that year.
Wow.
Maybe I don't know what it is, but and another thing is, it's always good to have, even while you're a student, it's always good to have something, like maybe some experience that you can even put in your CV. Because there are some master courses in Germany that one of the criteria, or like the requirements you need like, some of them will need like 1 year work experience, some will need 2 years of work experience. My course needed 2 years work experience. It was a prerequisite to get admission. Yeah,
the requirements normally for such courses is usually very important, because I've heard of also incidences where people are actually denied. You can get an admission, but you're denied a visa at the embassy based on your profile, your CV.
Yeah.
They would look at your CV and say, okay, but during this time, by the time you graduated, up until now that you've gotten the admission, what have you been doing during that time? So it's very important to be always working on your profile, doing like extra courses.
It could just be something by the side.
Yeah.
But you know how to package it well and put it on your CV. Yeah. It can sell you out there,
Yeah.
So when I applied that year, I got...
So in this particular case, your experience generally from ISEC and the job experiences were very instrumental.
It was very instrumental, because I mean, I had studied in Nigeria. I had like a whole year experience working in Poland.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Nigeria. I had worked in the banking industry.
And then the fact that she went back is a really good sign for them.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember when I went for when I got the admission and I went for my visa interview, you know. I remember the visa officer, because she went through my passport and she saw
the stamp of the
Polish. Oh, she said, "Oh, you've traveled to Europe before?" I said, "Yes, I've lived in Poland. I was in Poland for 1 year for my internship."
Yeah.
And you know, it convinced her, because she looked. Oh, she said, "And you came back?" I remember she asked me that question.
Wow.
She said, "And you came back?" I'm like, "Of course, because my internship ended."
She German or?
She was Nigerian. I don't know, but she's black, so of course she's Nigerian.
Yeah.
You know, so she was really convinced.
That's a big sign for you already.
Exactly. So she said, "Oh, I mean, because
plus.
I remember when I came back to Nigeria, some of my friends were like, they were telling me, Esther, why?
Why? Yeah.
Like,
they'll just never understand.
Like, why? But I mean, it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, 2018, I got admission, but I didn't make it because, of course, you know, to go to school abroad, you need to have money. So I didn't have all the finances I needed at that time. But it was okay, because sometimes too, some experiences happen to also shaping you, you know. And then I missed out that year. But the next year, I reapplied again and I got admission. And then this year, I was more prepared. Yeah. And then I came. Yeah. So I arrived Germany February 23rd, 2019. Wow. You see, I don't forget.
We always remember. All of us always remember.
Yeah.
I also arrived in Germany on 23rd September.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. You never forget the date.
You don't forget the date.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, how was your experience transitioning into now the student life in Germany? How different was it? What are some of the shocking things or the things that you loved?
To be honest, it's a different experience. Like studying in Africa and studying here, they're two different things. You know, the way education is run here, it's very practical. Like studying here, you know, in Africa, we used to have this classroom thing where you just go to lectures, you sit down, you go home, and over here, it's like theory. Over here, everything is more practicals. You are going, even as a student, you're all courses, you're going to have presentations, you're going to have to write papers, so you're going to have to know how to do research. You're going to have simulations. You're going to have symposiums. It's really stressful.
Yeah, and at first year, it's all too much to bear.
It's too much. And then, to be honest, I remember the first time I sat in, and even lectures, classroom lectures are interactive. Yeah. Like, it's not like in Africa where the professor just goes and writes and just talks.
The whole time.
No. Over here, I remember my professor, like when we're in class, it's like an open forum. So you have to talk. Yeah. Because they will, at some point, they'll ask you, what is the reality in your country? What is happening in your country? Yeah. You need to know what is happening in your country. Yeah. I mean,
and actually, also this and how they make you even talk is the fact that they do grade participation.
Participation, exactly.
It constitutes like 15% of it. So you have no choice but to participate.
In fact, I remember one particular course I took. Yeah. You need to see the way we were all struggling to talk in class. Like everybody was, because the professor said he's going to give 20% of the final grade is coming from your participation in class. Ooh. So you must talk. You must contribute.
Oh. Gosh. So that means everyone.
And the truth is, when I came here to like moving to Germany, I had to unlearn a lot of things. Yeah. And I had to learn. No, first of all, I had to unlearn. Yeah. And then I had to learn. And then I had to relearn. Because the way we do education in Nigeria was totally different. In fact, the first time I sat down in my class for lectures, I asked myself, are you sure you're in the right class? And then I looked again and I said, yes, you're in the right class, but you need a lot of work to do. Yeah. It's not easy. And then I didn't come as a scholarship student. So, of course, I had to survive here. I had to work and study.
So how was that, juggling student jobs and student life, assignments, and also performing at how was that generally?
To be honest, it's not a walk in the park. Yes, because I'm not going to make it look like it's so easy, because it's not so easy. Yeah. Because, my course originally is structured 3 semesters, 18 months. It's an 18 months program. But because I have to work to be able to live here, of course, in Germany as a student, you know now, you have like 20, you are permitted to work up to 20 hours a week. You know. because I had to work to be able to survive and everything. It wasn't easy. First of all, I knew that I couldn't finish my course on time, like in 18 months. And the good thing is my university allows you to stretch your program for up to 3 years. So instead of the original 3 semesters, you can stretch your course for another 3 semesters, so up to 6 semesters. So I took that advantage. So one of the things, what I did was I stretched my program. So stretching my programs mean I don't have to do all the courses every semester. So in my first semester, I'm supposed to do 6 courses, but because I work, I took only, I think I did 4 courses. So I could have time to also work, because those courses are not easy. To pass those courses, you need to do presentations. Now, for those presentations, you're being placed in groups, and you have to do group meetings, group work, all of those things. So it's not easy juggling, and then you have to work. At work, you need to be on time, because you know how Germans are always, the German work culture. It's not like in Africa where everything goes. No, over here, you have to be at work on time. So these are also some of the things I needed to unlearn, because over here, I realized that, the German work culture is, Germans are always punctual. Sorry, I was almost, they like this word punctual. Like you have to be punctual.
Actually, this is actually... It's very serious, because even when you're 5 minutes late, you are extremely late.
Exactly. So, I had to work on my time management skills, because I was really, really bad at that.
Yeah.
Like I could, you know how in Nigeria where you're invited for a program or you go there, you get there like even 30 minutes late and it's okay. Maybe they've not even started. Over here, it's not the same.
And then, the funny thing is, once you already get accustomed to now the culture here in Germany of being on time, now when you go back home, you get so irritated.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it wasn't easy, because it wasn't easy too, but the fact that I had to stretch my program helped me. So I couldn't, like every semester I was just taking like 4 courses, and then that gave me opportunity to also work here, and then, and then also, towards the end of my studies, I also got pregnant. So I was now juggling, finishing my courses. I was pregnant the whole time. I was pregnant when I started writing my master's thesis.
Wow.
I was pregnant all through. And then I was even, I submitted my thesis 3 weeks before I had my baby.
Wow.
And then all those periods I was also working.
So you're working at the same time you're here,
yes,
pregnant, and you're working on your thesis.
Exactly.
And by the way, guys, having a baby in Germany is, it's a lot of course, there's a lot of blessings that come with it. The system really supports mothers, but it's a lot of paperwork that has to be done. It's like doing a goddamn PhD.
Yes.
So how did you juggle filling up the forms and all that, writing your thesis at the same time?
Yeah, okay. It wasn't easy, but what I did was I realized that because you know how most of the forms, everything you have to do like in German.
Yeah.
So I spoke to some friends, and then I realized, okay, I would need services of social workers. So I have like a social worker I work with. She helps me with filling forms, and some places where I have to go for appointments, and maybe she will tell me, okay, I can help you get this appointment because maybe you need to call in German, and my German level is A2 level, so it's not so good. Yeah. So I started working with her 2 months before my due date, and then up until 5 months after I had given birth.
Okay.
So she helps me with a lot of, even most of the paperwork happens, I think even after you had given birth. Yeah. So she was there for me, in terms of that one. But while I was pregnant, I didn't really need her much, because most of the things I needed to do, I could do. I could handle. Most times I also use Google Translate to help me with a lot of things. But then what I struggled with more was my thesis. Because you know how being pregnant, some days you just want to stay in bed. Some days you're just tired. Yeah. And then you have timeline. I had only 12 weeks to write my thesis.
12 weeks?
Yes. I had active 12 weeks to write my thesis. But I was lucky.
That's like 4 months.
Yeah, 3 months.
3 months.
At the end of my course, you only have 12 active weeks from when you register.
But how do they expect you to do a quality thesis within 3 months?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's how it is. Yeah, that's how it is. Yeah, but for my set, we're lucky because towards the end of the 3 weeks, they now added 4 weeks to it. Towards the end of the 3 months, they added 4 weeks to it. So I was lucky to have
an extra month
because of COVID. So they said, because of COVID, we know some people have to travel to Africa, because I did like a primary research, like I had to get like generates, you know. So they know that some of us had to travel.
And what was your thesis topic on?
My thesis topic was on the role of small-scale businesses in poverty alleviation, poverty reduction in Nigeria. So I took my case study from 2 states in Nigeria, Lagos State and Plateau State. So Plateau State is it's up north, is the state where I had my university education on my diploma and then my degree. I spent about 7 years in that state, and then I felt that state it has, like, it holds a place in my heart. Yes. Okay. So I did my research work from Lagos State and Plateau State.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just accessing the impact that small scale businesses have in poverty alleviation in Nigeria.
And what was your finding?
My findings were that small scale businesses actually help in alleviating poverty through uplifting or upgrading the life of people. Because, you know, Nigeria is a very entrepreneurial country.
Yes.
You see a lot of entrepreneurs. And because of the way, you know how unemployment is on the rise, a lot of people graduate school, they don't find a job. So most people, most people are creative. You know, they just look around and, think of what they can do. And before you know, they set up a business.
And one thing that I find that a lot of Africans maybe might not realize, the fact that our continent, so quote unquote, has a lot of problems, that's actually a lot of opportunities.
That's true.
So budding entrepreneurs jump onto it.
Exactly.
So the best way is
in fact, I remember one of the papers I jumped on while I came across while I was working on my thesis. It showed that Nigerians, the entrepreneurial level rose by 256% in the past 3 years.
Wow.
Yes.
And what was the cause for that?
Because of the unemployment.
So you they have to find something to do.
people have to eat, people have to feed.
Yeah.
You know, so the businesses they do helped them. At least they were able to at least feed. They were able to pay their children's school fees. It helped them to leave the vicious cycle of poverty.
Yeah, and that's actually explains why also the GDP of Nigeria is like in the sub-Saharan Africa is like among the highest.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then they also have. It was like positive on this part, but then it was also negative on the other part because they had a lot of challenges. Okay. Because my master's thesis program also looked at their challenges and then their prospects. So it was the role of small and medium scale, small scale businesses in poverty alleviation in Nigeria, challenges and prospects. So they had a lot of challenges, ranging from government policies, ranging from infrastructure problems, a lot of things. So on one hand, they are trying. On the other hand,
there are so many things that are bringing them.
Yeah,
I came across this interview of this lady from Senegal. She was born in Senegal, raised in France, then relocated to the US. And she's a strong advocate for capitalism.
Yeah.
And she says a capitalist economy, rather what she believes is this is what would actually alleviate poverty in Africa as a whole. But the problem is the way the system is built in Africa, it's built in such a way that whoever is entrepreneurial, it builds you to bring you down. So like for her, when she was setting up her company, because she has this, it's a beauty company or something. Okay. So they produce these products that's for faces and all that. So the raw materials they get them from Africa.
Yeah.
Meaning, of course, Africa is one of those continents that has a majority of the resources.
Yeah.
So what she's doing is she's trying to promote the local traders in Senegal. Yeah. And then for the marketing, she does that in the US.
Okay.
Because they're the ones who they have the money to buy this, right? But now she said she had to set up 2 subsidiary companies. So the comparison came here. When setting up the company in Senegal, it took her like almost 2 years.
Of course.
But
because the bureaucracy is
the bureaucracy is crazy. And in the US, it only took her 20 minutes to go on the computer to set it up. So the bureaucracy in Africa, the way it's been set up, also broods that corruption. Now, for you to fasten things, you have to pay somebody.
You have to pay somebody.
Which is really just killing the economy,
yes,
really.
Yes. In fact, I remember while my field workers while we were distributing the questionnaires and, getting this information from traders, from some of these business owners, some of the challenges we encountered were when you go into someone's office to try to get info, they're asking you, who are you? Where are you from? They want to be sure you're not maybe one government agency that wants to come and ask them for tax or something. Maybe, all of those things. So it was also some, like, when we now tell them, oh, sorry, no, we are just students, or we are just, we need this information for our a research, a master's research, because of course I wrote all of these things, introduce myself, and so then they are calm. Because they will now tell you things like, because these government people today, they will come up with this thing, tomorrow they come up with this thing.
They want to come and find ways to get money from them. From them,
exactly. So they are being very careful with who they give their information to and all of those things. So the truth is, the citizens have like this entrepreneurial culture. Like, of course, they are trying to do something. Yeah. Everybody's trying to do something, but the system is pulling them down.
And this is why a lot of young Africans are struggling to find opportunities to go abroad. Like, look at us. We wouldn't be here if the system was
good.
Yeah, was good.
Yeah.
And also, I think also now the saddest of all stories are like, you hear of young girls and boys cross the sea with boats just to come to Europe.
Really.
It's really sad. But hopefully, that's why we're here to see how we can change the narrative, right? Okay. Now, this particular situation now, you've already transitioned to, you've graduated, you've submitted your thesis, you've had your baby. So how was life after that?
Oh man, it's of course, having a baby changes everything. Yeah. It's really challenging because right now you don't have your life because you have one human being that you're totally
fully dependent on you.
Exactly, that's fully dependent on you and that you're totally responsible for.
But generally, in terms of the work-life balance and how the German government steps in for mothers, how different is it from back at home?
No, it's better because, over here you can even have up to, depending on what you want, you can take up to 2 years maternity leave, and because the truth is, in Africa, it's easier because you have you have the village, you have the family, you have the friends. Over here, you're alone. So the German government, of course, they make it easier for mothers, especially working mothers, because they look at. For example, in my workplace, there are so many things that my boss will tell me. Oh, Esther, come and tell me your reality. What do you want? What do you need? They give you listening ears. So but then it's also not easy because here, before you can have your time fully to yourself, you need to at least settle your baby in school, and it's not easy to even find a school for the child. It's not so. Okay, for example, me right now, I'm still not even balanced yet because I'm still in the process of still trying to get my child settled in school and then go back to work fully, because I've not even gone back to work fully. But hopefully in the coming months, I'll be able to.
But at least everything was a bit easier in terms of settling in after the baby came.
Yeah. Because I took some time off work. I took up to 1 year leave off work. So that helps me. It gave me time to settle. It also gave me time to try a new perspective, because like I told you, I read economics in my degree, like my bachelor. Also, my master's was on international and development economics. But right now, I am delving into IT.
So you want to pivot to IT?
Yes, I want to pivot into IT because I want to work as an analyst, a data analyst. And I started developing this interest because of the way the world is going. The world is going IT. Data is becoming the new oil. Those days in Africa, we want to work in an oil company. These days, every company, every organization needs data.
IT.
They are looking for all of these IT. When I was pregnant, while I was writing my thesis, I was taking some online courses. I started learning SQL when I was pregnant.
Nice.
I went back to start, advancing my Excel skills.
Wow.
All of these things I was doing when I was pregnant.
Yeah.
I started learning how to code. I started learning how to code in my old age.
Wow.
Because I had interest in Python.
Well, you're not old, girl. You're under 30.
I remember I took like 2 boot camps.
Yeah. Wow.
While I was pregnant.
Nice.
Yes, because it was COVID era, so most things
and
were
all
done.
this it was through self
learning. It was self-learning because it was COVID era, so most of these things we did like online.
Yeah.
I had my group, I had my class, we did our projects, everything online.
Wow.
So to be honest, that was something else that COVID did for us because one thing I realized that COVID did for us was COVID made us realize that you can have, you don't need to be there in person. Like you can have everything remotely and it works. These days, people run companies remotely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You don't have to be there in person. Yeah. So it was while I was pregnant that I got it. I had this interest, and I thought myself, I already have the background.
Yeah.
As an economics, I did a lot of statistics. We worked with data, so it was easy for me to just for me to now learn the
coding aspect.
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
So I'm not there yet. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
I'm still currently.
But the
I'm
fact
even
that you're learning, that's a step ahead.
Because I want to really. The world is going IT, and then you know how Germany is. For you to really get a good job, you need to have all of these IT skills. And, why will I be sleeping on it?
Yeah. Oh, that's a really good move on your side. Okay, so now maybe we can finish off by you telling us a memorable experience you've had so far in Germany. When did you finish? Do you have any, or are there so many?
A memorable experience. Well, to be honest, I really don't have a lot of native friends, like a lot of German friends. I have like very few German friends. Yeah, but I think I've built like really good friendships. I've built really good relationships with other Africans here in Germany. Because I moved here in 2019 and I knew maybe 1 or 2 persons because of course I knew that my friend had told me about his university and maybe I knew one other person who was going to be my classmate who had contacted me via email to say, oh, we are classmates and I'm happy to meet you, But living here, working here, I've met good people. I've built good relationships. Yeah. Like I have, when I had my baby and my mom came, because my mom was with me the first 3 months after I had my baby, she saw the way my friends come to the house, the way they come, they help me with stuff. And then she said, oh, you guys are doing really good here. Like, I like the fact that all of you just discover yourselves and you are just there for yourselves. So it's like for me, and to be honest, I cherish those friendships I've built. I used to tell my friends, I used to tell them that you guys are my clan. You guys are the family I have. As in, you're like my family away from home. So to be honest, I think I'm grateful for those very good friendships I've built, those very good relationships. Because when you're living abroad, you need people.
Those friendships.
You need those friendships,
and your friends are like now your family.
Your family. So to be honest, I think those friendships, those relationships are really
the ones that are very memorable.
They're what I'm grateful for. Yeah.
So any parting shot for our audience, our young students out there? How can you advise them?
Well, for the young ones, to be honest, I would just tell them to be hungry. Be hungry for knowledge. Be hungry for. Yeah, because be hungry for knowledge, because knowledge never stops. You never stop learning. Don't say you're a student and you are just there. In your university, look around. There are definitely organizations that can help you achieve your dreams. When I was in the university, I was lucky to find ISEC. In my final year in school, I remember how my fellow students were rallying and said, Esther, we've seen the way you handled ISEC. We want you to come and be our leader. In my final year in school, I was the vice president of the students' union, like the students' organization, So these are also some other leadership opportunities that being in ISEC, exposed me to. And also, I would want us to hold our value, hold your values and hold it tight. it is okay to, it is okay. It is easier to cut corners, but it is better to do things the right way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be hungry for knowledge. Look out for all opportunities. Look out for, there are a lot of opportunities out there. These days, you will see young people coming to ask me, oh, how can I get a scholarship? Gosh. Oh, how can I apply to a school in abroad? Did you use an agent? For crying out loud. I didn't use an agent because all the information you need are out there available in Google. You know what I tell them? Google is your friend. Go to Google. So far you have internet. You don't even need a computer. With your phone now, you can do everything.
Yeah, this is also another fact that I always insist on. That data bundle you're using to go and watch
on Instagram and all of those
stuff,
things.
You can use that for something useful.
Really. You know what I encourage young people to do? If you need any information, before you ask anybody, can you ask Google? Can you go online and do a short research to see what you can find out on that thing before you begin? Because a lot of people have been misled. You would see people will come, and we've heard stories of how people pay a lot of money to some agents to help them get admission or to help them travel abroad. I've been to over 12 countries, over 14 countries. And even before I moved to Germany, I've been to other countries where I had to apply to visas. I had to apply for visas to travel. I did all those things myself. I didn't contact any agents because when you want to apply to any visa for any country, go online. That country has an embassy. That country, everything is online.
And then also another thing about just generally life abroad. Here you're not spoon-fed in any way. You have to learn how to do things your way. Especially, I've realized, especially in Germany, just my experience between Germany and US, in Germany especially, you just can't walk up to somebody and ask, oh, how can I do this? They expect you to know.
To know, exactly.
So you have to make Google your friend as early as now.
Thank you. This was also one of the culture shock I had in school. In class, your professors expect you to know. Unlike over there in Africa where you just go there empty, So over here, they expect you to know. So while you're going to ask someone, you should also have some idea.
Yes.
So really, young people, I really encourage you to be hungry for knowledge. Tell yourself that you can do these things, you can do them. You don't need, you need guidance. You need a mentor. But also you need to do the work.
Something.
Yes, you need to do something.
Okay, that's such a great message. Well, thank you so much, Esther. We really appreciate your time coming to share all this knowledge.
I'm also happy. I'm also excited. And I'm also happy to be here to also share my experience. And thank you for having me, Becky.
So guys, thank you so much for tuning in for today's episode. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment down on the comment section. And also feel free to reach out to us whenever you'd like any information or guidance generally on our platform, selftaught academy.com. So up until next time, take care. Bye.